I'm a bit off today, so if I sound not like myself or I'm a bit depressing, then I apologise profusely. Text. Hold on a second. I had a panic attack last night and it made me I feel a bit off today, which is kind of like what usually happens. I didn't know whether to do, I hadn't really thought about doing a video on anxiety and anxiety awareness and my experience with it yet anyway. I thought I would maybe do that in the future, possibly, but it's just, I don't know, I feel like it would be a good thing to do, get it all out in the open. Maybe if it helps like at least one person, then I'd be happy with that. I think it's also, there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done about anxiety, because I don't think many people understand it, which I totally get. Like, I understand why people can't really relate to it, because it's a very difficult thing to wrap your head around if you haven't experienced it before. It's much like depression, where you can't really put yourself in that situation unless you've been there. You can't, unless you've been depressed, you can't know the depths and the blackness and how terrible it is unless you've gone through it. And I think it is the same with anxiety. I mean, you can be there for people who have anxiety, and you can be there to support them and help them, but you can't put yourself exactly in their shoes and put exactly how they're feeling, because you just don't know if you've not experienced a panic attack before. A panic attack is basically, it goes way back to when we were cavewomen, and there were animals and very life-threatening, dangerous situations that occurred while we were trying to hunt for food or this type of thing. Very scary things, very life-threatening things. And our brains would acknowledge this, and then the adrenaline in our I think it's just above the kidneys, the adrenal glands would start to work, and you'd get a lot of adrenaline. And anyone can have adrenaline, like when you go on a roller coaster or you jump out of a plane, or it's something that you get when, I don't really know the technical terms, but it's something when you're in a scary situation, or in one of those situations. I'm sure everybody's experienced adrenaline before, and it would start creating a lot of adrenaline, so then you could either fight, for instance, like an animal, you could, to the best of your ability, or you could flight, which is the other part where you could just run, and it would help you to run away and to kind of get away from that really life-threatening situation. Now, as time has obviously progressed on a lot, we aren't really faced with those kind of life-threatening situations, but that fight or flight response is still embedded in us. I don't know the reason why, but I know some of us find it difficult to control that, and it's a different, for instance, in my case, I will be, I could just be sat in bed, and then suddenly my adrenaline will go and I'll start having a panic attack, and that is the fight or flight response. So I'm not in a dangerous situation, I'm not in a life-threatening situation, but my brain is thinking that I am, even though I'm not. That's what a panic attack is. So you could just be on the train or on the bus, and suddenly you're faced with this response from your body, like an actual response, and it's triggering actual reactions. Like, I think people kind of can get confused with anxiety and thinking, oh, it's just nerves, you're a bit anxious, you're a bit scared. It's not, it's an actual reaction that happens in your body that gives physical symptoms. Like, you can shake, I shake a lot because of the adrenaline. You can't get rid of the adrenaline if you're just sat in bed. You're just going to shake because you're full of adrenaline, it's just going pumping around your body. You feel very sick because of what's going on in your body, and you can't, do anything about it. I'm actually, I do if I can't stop the panic attack, sorry, I do usually throw up, and that's due to the sickness that I feel in my stomach and the reaction in my body that I can't control. Not everyone's sick, but a lot of people, most people do feel the sickness, which is a horrible, horrible feeling. Your heart races very, very fast. You have like a tunnel vision. You can't see anything else around you. Like there's this, it's just like a dark tunnel, and you cannot see that anything is ever going to get better. It's like, because you're breathing so fast, your brain is kind of starved of oxygen in a way, and you can't see that anything's going to get better. You cannot think rationally. In a situation like that, you cannot think rationally. These are all physical symptoms, actual symptoms that you get when you have a panic attack. Like, going back to what I said before, people need to realise that this is a real thing. This is not something that people are just making up. It's a real reaction that's going on in your body, and you can't do anything about it. I think because anxiety is classed as a mental illness, much like depression, even though they're two different things, it's just difficult for people to treat mental illnesses as they treat a physical illness. So like, if you broke your arm, people will be like, oh, because they can see it. They can see that you've broken your arm. They can see your cast on your arm. You can see the X-ray of your bone broken, but you can't see what's going on in someone's body while they're having a panic attack. You just can't. So I think people find it difficult to sympathise, well, some people do find it difficult to sympathise with that if they haven't ever had a panic attack in their life, because it's something you can't really understand unless you've actually had one. Now, I've had panic attacks since as long as I can remember. Some of my first ever memories are of me having panic attacks in shopping centres. I must have been about 4 years old, losing my parents, getting panic attacks, but I didn't know what it was at that age, obviously. But as time went on, I wouldn't have them for years, and then I'd have them and I'd be sick, and I didn't really think much of it, but it kind of got to a I knew something wasn't quite right, and when it started affecting my life, then I really knew that this was not okay, this is not normal. When my parents split up the summer before secondary school, and it was a huge shock for me, a huge transition for me, and it ended up really throwing me off the rails anxiety wise. I mean, I had a whole year at secondary school where I'll never know how I did it, but I just kind of got through it, and I was okay. And then by that summer, I never wanted to go back to school. I started having terrible panic attacks all night. I would just shake and be sick, and it was just an absolute, I still didn't understand what panic attacks were at this point. I kind of was starting to learn more and more, since my grandma has suffered panic attacks all her life. Some of my family members also suffer from anxiety, so I think in my case it's definitely hereditary, but I don't think it can be with all cases, but it can be hereditary. So luckily I do have people who understand my situation and what I go through, which is the most helpful thing in the world. But yeah, I was having big panic attacks. I wouldn't go to school, I wouldn't get in the car. People had no idea. They thought I was just behaving badly. They just thought I was being naughty. They thought I was just refusing to go to school. But really, I was going through absolute hell. Like, it was absolutely one of the worst times of my entire life. And I'm not being dramatic, I kind of blocked most of it out because it's something that I don't want to think about, something I don't want to revisit. And I started going to, I think I was referred to CAMS, where I had CBT, which is cognitive behaviour therapy, which can be really helpful for some people with anxiety, but for me it didn't help. As far as I'm aware, I don't think it really helped for me. I went through various forms of therapy. I ended up moving to a different school, which I absolutely loved. I made loads of friends. I was there for like 2 years. I had little to no panic attacks. Everything was fine. And then I had a bit of a blip, and then it just kind of completely threw me off the rails, and I couldn't go to school. Started having more panic attacks, and eventually I did have to come out of school. I must have been in year 9, year 10. It was just before my 14th birthday, and like I said, I had so many friends, and then suddenly to go from so many friends to having like none, I don't hold any resentment, any anger towards any of my friends that I lost at that time, because we were so young. Nobody understood, nobody could relate to what I was going through, and at that age it's kind of almost impossible to. So I did end up losing pretty much all my friends, which was a very, very difficult time. I spent a long time, months and months, having literally no friends. And by no friends I mean no friends. Like, I couldn't text, there's nobody I could text, nobody I could call. There was absolutely nobody I could talk to except for my family, which I absolutely adore my family to death, but it's difficult. You can't relate to your family like you can relate to a best friend, and that was a really difficult time for me. I tried to go into different school for people especially with anxiety and those kind of issues, and I didn't end up going in there. I ended up getting homeschooled for a few years. I got my GCSEs, and yeah, I was kind of at a dead end. I didn't know what to do. Last October I went through a very, very bad stage where I had like it was like a 3-day panic attack. Like, it was absolutely terrible. I don't know what brought it on. I think it was like a mixture of a bug, a virus, and I was trying to get on some medication. It was like one of the most traumatic times I've ever had. But I got through it. It took quite a long time. I mean, that was like 6 months ago, and no, not 6 months ago, even longer than that. No, yeah, something like that. Why does my camera cut off? I think it's like a timer thing. Okay, I'm gonna carry on. Where was I? I'm quite high dose, so not everyone would need as much as I take, but it's definitely helped me. I've really come a long way since I've been taking it. Anyone that knows me will agree with that. I'm extremely proud of myself, but I mean, I'm still not quite there yet, but I'm doing things that I wouldn't have dreamed of doing 6 months ago. I do understand that it's a difficult thing to relate to. Anxiety should be alongside depression. I think, even though they're completely different things, I think they're both mental illnesses, they're both extremely important, and people need to be made aware of this, because I feel like people, especially in our generation, they can kind of understand the depression, they've kind of got their head around that, but with anxiety it's a completely different ball game, and nobody seems to be, a lot of people seem to be talking about it nowadays, but they don't seem to be understanding. I think it's still something that needs to be touched on a lot more. I'm glad that people are speaking about it, but we're definitely not there yet. I think people just need to remember that it's natural, physical thing. It's happening inside somebody's body. They're not making it up. It's not for dramatic effect. It's not an overreaction. It's a real thing, and they need to start treating it as if it was a broken bone or something. I'm trying to think of something I can compare it to, but something physical that you can see on the outside, that people will be like, oh, they can see it and they can understand it and they can help them work around it, but because it's inside of me and you can't see it, it doesn't mean that you can't be there for me and help me and at least try and understand. I just had a massive rant that was so nice to get off my chest. I feel like I should have written something else down. I don't know, I must have missed loads of things. But if this video helps anybody who has anxiety, has panic attacks, has depression, has a mental illness, who's afraid of it, who needs help, who hasn't got the family support that I do, because I'm extremely lucky and completely grateful for the family that I have around me, because they are 100% behind me all the time. I couldn't have asked for a better family unit to help me with my anxiety. They all understand, they're all so compassionate and caring for me, but it's not always like that, and that really breaks my heart that some people have to go through this, which is terrible enough as it is, but without the family support that I luckily get, it makes me very upset that people have to go through it alone, and I don't think anybody should have to do that. This can help somebody who is dealing with it or dealing with it alone. That would be absolutely amazing. I'll try find some links below and put them down below about anxiety, what you can do, who you can contact. I don't know, I'll find something, I'll have a look, and then I am always free to talk to anybody who has any questions about anxiety, or has anxiety themselves, who doesn't know what to do, who to talk to. Like, you're not on your own. So many people, it's so much more common than you think it is. So many people have anxiety, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I am completely open about it, I like laugh about it. It's just, it doesn't define me, but it's part of me, and it's made me who I am today, and I'm so grateful for that. And I don't regret it at all, even though it's a terrible thing, it's awful, but without it I wouldn't be the person I was today. I wouldn't understand mental illness as much as I do. I wouldn't have empathy for people who do suffer with it. So don't ever regret the things you're going through, because they do make you the person that you are, and even in the long run you'll look back and you'll think, wow, you know, this has made me a stronger, better person. So thank you for watching. If you have any video requests, leave them down below. Any questions, please comment. I'll get back to every single one of you who want to ask a question or need someone to talk to. Yeah, I'm always here. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.